In this video, I will show you the ultimate coding side hustle to earn $10,000 a month plus online. This side hustle is none other than agent development. Over the next 2 hours, I will walk you through the insane opportunity that is coding agents, how to create your very own agents, and then real examples of ones that I've made and sold for 5 to 6 figures. For those who don't know, agents or bots are mini programs that can automate anything on the web. I myself have made multiple 6 figures through this, have been featured on Times Square, and ultimately changed my life. Now, it's time to change yours. Make sure to watch this from start to finish so by the end of this course, you will have learned 4 years of me turning coding agents into a one-person business, all through some of my best videos completely for free. Now, exactly what is a bot automation agency? So it's a very beginner-friendly online business model, and what you're essentially doing is you're automating businesses, individuals, processes by creating a bot using simple frameworks. So in other words, if you were to check the weather every morning, right, and you manually go on weather.com, you input your state you live in or the city you live in, and you check the weather, right? That's a very manual task that can be completed via a bot. What if instead of now going on the website and doing all this manual work, you just click a button, code runs, and it scans the website, like a browser opens automatically, and it scans the website and lets you know right away, hey, the weather for Catonsville is 75 degrees Fahrenheit, right? And the winds are 5 miles per hour. All by a click of a button, you were able to get that information. So the whole goal of a bot automation agency, right, is to create these bots, and these bots ultimately reduce time and cost and boost profits for companies, because when you save time, you save money. And one of the best things about creating a bot is its unlimited scalability. Like I said, there's a bot right now that makes me about 18 grand a month. And the reason that is because that one simple bot, that one piece of code, I have resold it to multiple clients who are each paying like a monthly fee, right? They're each paying $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And now it's the same piece of code. I did not have to change anything, like at all, but everyone's paying for their own copy. And that's where unlimited scalability comes to play, because this is software and software can be scaled extremely quickly. And another thing is you can service a large variety of fields to various bots, unlike other agencies, right? Estimate, you can only really help influencers, right? Maybe some like companies in terms of marketing, drop shipping. I guess there's a lot of products, but it's very saturated. With bots, you can automate anything that's manual. So for any company, any industry, it does not matter. So what are some of the services you can offer, right? So you automate any manual task performed on the internet that is repeated constantly, right? That's what a bot does, right? Now, if you guys have seen the AI automation trend, you've seen people starting to create AI chatbots for customer and employees. It's an AI automation agency. That falls under a bot automation agency, because a bot automation agency creates all things bots, whether it be a chatbot or a more involved coding-based bot, right? Bot automation consultations, you can also do that as well, where you can help companies realize the manual tasks that can be automated, right? Thus saving them time and ultimately boosting their profits. And with all of this, you can bill per deliverable or I have monthly retainers. So again, the 18 grand bot I have, it's a monthly retainer, right? People are paying 1 to 2K a month. But I've also made bots. For example, I made a bot for Panini, which is this trading sports card website. And I sold the bot for $1,200, right? And that's a one-time fee. There's nothing after that. So you really have to choose the model. If you have multiple clients going for the same bot asking you, hey, can you make a bot for Walmart? And there's like 10 of them asking you that. You can then just make one bot and just resell to all of them for a one-time fee, or just have all of them pay $500 a month. So really up to you. Now, why personally did I start a bot automation agency? Well, my initial goal was to automate as much as I could in my own life, because I was like, yo, there's so many things that I do, I spend time on. What if I could just click a button and it's done for me, right? And then what if I now, whatever I automated in my own life, I automate that for somebody else, right? And then somebody else, and then somebody else. And then I'm like, I can charge for this. Now you're charging to automate people's lives, right? And the idea came in my head. This is gonna be a very high ticket venture, because it's probably long manual processes that are going on in various companies. I'm a full-time employee at a big company, and I've seen a lot of manual processes that I'm like, wow, this can really be automated. I could really automate this, right? And that can sell for a lot of money. And some people might be like, wow, but finding these big companies, finding these long manual processes can be hard.
Well, this industry also has low ticket clients. There's people who want small bots that, maybe check the weather for them, or maybe condense an essay from 1,000 words to 500 words, like ChatGPT, right? You can consider ChatGPT an AI-based bot. So these bots, there's a lot of clients you can service. High ticket, low ticket, really doesn't matter. They're also very easy to maintain. Now, I was a college student when I first started making bots, and being a college student, you want to experience college life. You want to have fun. You want to meet people, go to parties, and you don't want to just be cooped up in your dorm working all day, right? And the good thing about bots is once you spend like maybe 10 hours making a bot, you can chill. It doesn't break too often. If it does break, you can just update it. Maybe it might take an hour or two, right? And it's back to like passive income. And that's something that, really complements a college lifestyle, because you want to have fun and you want to make money, and a bot allows you to do that, right? And lastly, you can also teach and hire employees pretty easily. It's not hard to learn how to make a bot. You just have to learn Puppeteer.js, which, yes, does require knowledge of coding, and there's also no-code automation tools out there, but the best bots are made with code. But it's very simple code, and it's a different type of coding, right? You don't need to know advanced coding at all. You can be beginner and learn how to make a bot pretty quickly. In fact, I actually mentor students who are beginners in coding, and they've been able to make some very successful bots. Now, a bot automation agency is easily the unparalleled future, right? And here's the 5 reasons why, right? It's the largest market in modern technology, okay? You can boost productivity by eliminating costs, right? That's really what the benefit you're providing as a bot automation agency, right? And by eliminating time to do a task, you can grow a business exponentially, because if a business spends 100 hours a day doing a task, and you take that 100 hours, make it 1 hour, there's 99 hours per day that can now be spent on another task. And that's really how businesses grow exponentially. And you charge for that, right? You charge for the time saved. And here's a real case study. Now, I made a towing bot for a guy. I will name him Joe for the sake of this video. And this towing bot, well, the problem was that Joe and his drivers, they had to stare at the portal 24/7. And this portal was a portal where jobs would appear, like towing shift jobs would appear. And anytime a towing job would appear, the first driver to select that job and say, I accept, right? And input their details like their name, their address, their ETA, right? They would get the shift, or they would get the job. And the other towing truck drivers, they didn't get the job. They missed out on it. So at this point, you literally have to sit at your computer all day long. And the moment a job appears, you have to try to book it, right? And you can still miss, because also what's first come, first serve. And Joe, he didn't want to keep staring at this portal. He didn't want to stare at this portal while driving, while spending time with family. So he wanted a bot that could just scan the portal for him. So I created it. Another case study, and this is one of the ones that probably maybe the most money. There's a golf collector who asked me to make a bot for him, and he would pay me $1,000 for every golf club I got him. And this bot basically got golf clubs off his website called Scotty Camera. And these golf clubs are very expensive, right? Now, this bot was extremely successful. It got a lot of putters, and I made over $50,000 from this bot in commissions, as well as I got a spot on Times Square. Another example, a payment processing bot. There's a guy named Brady who has spent a lot of time running payroll for his employees using QuickBooks, and he just wanted to automate it. So I helped him do that, right? And once I helped him make that bot, or I made the bot for him, I was able to sell that same exact bot to 2 other people. So for $800 a month for each, and basically it was bringing in $2,400 a month. So again, that's the beauty of once you make a bot for one person, you can resell it to other people who might also need that bot. And if one person needs it, chances are there's other people in this world who also will need the same bot. So that's how you scale. All right. So overall, there's lots of variety and types of bots you can make. It's a very variety of fields: golf, towing, company, payroll. Like, it's very versatile, right? So you can get a lot of customers, really an unlimited number of customers. One of the other benefits is it's 0 startup costs. All you need is a laptop. Literally, all you need is a laptop, guys. The amount of skills, like what's the barrier to entry? You don't need much skill. And I talked about this before. Yes, if you know how to code, it does help already. It gives you a boost, like initial boost. But any non-coder can pick up how to use Puppeteer.js from a YouTube video, because it is a little different than your regular coding, right? It's like the same lines you use, the same type of functions you use. There's not much difference. So if you're a novice coder or you never code in your life, watch a tutorial or two on Puppeteer.js, and you will see that, oh, you know what, this is actually really doable. And worst comes to worst, if you really don't want to spend the time coding, you can always hire freelancers who know how to code, and they'll for sure be able to pick up Puppeteer.js, because if they're like even remotely okay, like substandard coders, Puppeteer.js is easy for them. And that's how easy it is. One of the best things about this entire online business model is the exponential profit you bring for you and your client, right? If you have a bot you charge $800 a month for one client, right? And they say you save them 10 hours of time every single week. And so you charge $800 a month for that. That same bot can now be sold to 4 people, and you're making $3,200 a month. And that's very, very common, right? That's not something that is like rare all of a sudden. A lot of people are making money like that with bots. It's just that it's very niche, and no one talks about it because people like to gatekeep. Again, client developers are happy. As you've seen from case studies, businesses can increase their productivity, their ride booking, their inventory, all of that. And it's a compounding business model because, like I said, as you charge $800 a month and you add more and more clients, the money that comes in every single month steadily increases, right? And again, the best part is it's easy to create, easy to deliver, and easy to earn. You can make these bots very, very simply. And most of the time, it takes me like a day or two to make a bot. The delivery is extremely easy. You just send them the code, right? Or you send them a code as well as a quick tutorial on how to use it, and they will Zelle you or Venmo you, and you can collect monthly payments. So how exactly can you sign your first bot automation agency client? I can make a very in-depth video about this, but a quick overall viewpoint will be you want to focus on one niche at first, right? And you want to use Puppeteer.js to build a bot, and you want to create a FCFS bot, meaning first come, first serve. So the towing site, for example, is first come, first serve. Whoever accepted the towing job first will get the job. So create a bot for that. And then I'll also talk about how to find potential customers in my next video, as well as how to price your bots. And it's really up to you how to price your bots. And for finding customers, you can do in-reach, outreach. You can check out my SaaS, which actually sends a bunch of automated Instagram DMs, which is one of the best ways to put your first client or even your second, third, fourth client. So be sure to check that out. Now, speaking of the process, this is the 5-step process that we will go over. So let's start with step 1. Step 1 is to learn basic coding. Guys, coding is not for geniuses. I know a lot of people think that you have to be some mastermind, some super nerd to understand how to code. No, it's actually very simple, and more people are starting to learn code. People who have never even thought they would ever code one line in their entire life. Now, to create bots, which are simple pieces of programs, are like under 100 lines of code, but can make you thousands of dollars and make clients thousands of dollars, you only have to know JavaScript, HTML, and Node.js. There's a ton of resources on these languages and frameworks. You go all through YouTube and find a lot of tutorials. One of my favorites, and it'll be linked in the description below, is a 7-hour crash course that takes you through Node.js. Anyone, whether you, again, have never coded a day in your life or have worked at Google, if you watch this 7-hour crash course, by the end of it, you will know exactly that information you need to create your very first bot, because it's very thorough and it goes through everything. And then after you watch a 7-hour crash course, I created a web automation tutorial, also a link in the description below, where I walk you through how to use Node.js to make a browser click a button without you even interacting with the browser, all through code. And that is really the backbone of a bot. You are essentially controlling your browser using code. So now if you want to check the weather every morning, you no longer have to go to weather.com, enter your location, check the weather. Instead, you can just have a bot do it. Press a button and it will give you the full report you need, right? And that's the power of automation through bots. And that's where a lot of opportunity is. A ton of money is being made. Like I said, if you watched my last video, I made $1,500 coding within 2 hours. 2 hours. That is insane. And now, step 2 is to build your first bot. Yes, now you learn the very basic parts of code that you need to build your first bot. So now it's time to actually do it. And you can build any type of bot. Okay, you can build a checkout bot, a scraper, any general automation task like the weather example I gave. Now, my first couple of bots were checkout bots. These were bots that could buy an item off of a website. You're probably familiar with sneaker bots, but but those are kind of complicated. And this video is for people who, again, have never coded a day in their life, don't want to create anything complicated, just want a good amount of money on the side. Like $10,000 a month, can't complain. One of my first ever checkout bots that were very successful was a bot for this website called Scotty Cameron. I bought golf clubs for clients who were like really well off. And this bot generated me $60,000 in profit, all within the span of like 4 and 5 months. It was a really crazy. Again, like I said, this bot was very simple, but this one was 250 lines of code. Now, I did say that some bots are less than 100 lines of code, but you also have some bots that are a little more complex and they're 250, possibly even more. And you can see an example of how this program looks. You might look at this and be like, whoa, this is out of my range. This looks too complicated. Again, once you watch these two tutorials right here, this would be easy work, like cake work. You're gonna be like, psh, this is easy, man. A for loop, I can do that in my sleep. And now the most recent bot I made, and again, I talked about this in my last video, was a bot for toy guns, and it generated $1,500 in 2 days, and it was 56 lines of code. 56. So you're telling me, even if you've never coded in life, you can't learn how to code 56 lines? Guys, half of these lines are just the same line, copy and pasted. Async function, async function, async function. Half of these lines are the same thing. These first like 10 lines are just setting the program up. Again, covered in this. So you're really writing 40 lines of code almost to generate $1,500 all within 2-day time period. This program itself took me 2 hours to create. The entire process of charging the client, making the program, actually getting the money, that all took 2 days. Again, very crazy, a lot of opportunity. And then step 3 comes in. Once you start building your bot, you're probably thinking, all right, now how do I get my clients? I created a bot, but I need clients to, sell the bot to. This is where smart marketing comes in. Now, smart marketing isn't your cold outreach. It's not just sending 5,000 emails every day and hoping that you can, land someone. That takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. We're going to do smart marketing, which is ways we can market our bot without spending a single dime. In fact, most of my marketing for my softwares in general have probably been less than like $100 in like 3 months. A lot of it was creating content. So these 2 videos that I made about me creating a bot, one of them got 213,000 views and it was 3 years ago. The other got 19,000 views and was released 1 year ago. These 2 videos, I have gotten so many emails from people asking me to create a bot for them after they've watched either one of these 2 videos, because they're like, oh my God, like I need to learn how to create bots, or this guy can create bots. Let me ask him to make me a bot for baby clothes or for hats or for Nike, for Walmart, for Scotty Cameron right here. In fact, my client who first contacted me for his website watched this video and as a result emailed me. My email is in the description below, and that's how I got one of my highest paying clients ever. So these 2 videos alone, with all the clients they've sent my way, they have made me over 6 figures in client work. So I've made over $100,000 in profit because of these 2 videos. Even though the AdSense on these 2 videos together is probably maybe $1,200. This is obviously carrying. That's the power of creating content, which is inbound marketing. With inbound marketing, which is just creating content, you get better leads. People will want you because if they're contacting you, they obviously want your product. You're not trying to sell it to them. They're already sold. They just need you to give them the details, give them, the breakdown of how it works. And that's why it's very easy closing, because you don't have to worry about trying to sell to the person, following a 10-step sales script. You don't have to do any of that. You could talk natural to them. You could talk like a real person-to-person conversation and expect them to highly likely want your product because they already want your product. They're in the market for it. And if you want to learn how to create good content for bots or software in general, just send me an email. I'm not charging for any service or anything like that. Just send me an email. I can give you some pointers for free. No worries, right? And that way you can get your content creator career started. And now we're talking about outreach. Okay, so now outreach, we have inbound marketing, but now you also have outbound marketing. This is what most people do, most agencies, most businesses. They try to find the clients themselves. Again, this is where the 5,000 emails a day comes from. And I'd never send more than 50 emails a day, and that too for maybe a week straight. That's it. I personally do not like outbound marketing, but if I'm going to do it, I try to do the smartest way possible. And this is how. I only use Instagram and LinkedIn because they're really direct ways of contacting someone. Because a lot of people are checking their Instagram, and for LinkedIn, you're probably I've never checked LinkedIn in my life. Well, employees at companies, if that is your target, they do, and they kind of have to. So now for Instagram outreach, I just use InstaDM, which is a software that you can send unlimited DMs on Instagram, fully automated. It supports multiple accounts, has proxies so you don't get flagged by Instagram, and it's my go-to to scale Instagram outreach by 100x. I've sent 500 DMs a day, 600 DMs a day using this software. So highly recommend it. Link in description below. If you have any questions, you can email me. Also for coupon. Now, link in LinkedIn Sales Navigator, this is how I do targeted DMs. With LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can really isolate the group of people you want to talk to. You can message anyone even if they don't have you added. So you kind of bypass that whole process in LinkedIn of, getting them added, them adding you back, and actually being able to message them. LinkedIn Sales Navigator completes all that for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So Insta DM is good for automated DMs, and then LinkedIn Sales Navigator is good for like you actually sending the DMs, but it's very targeted. So you're only sending like 20 DMs a day with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. With Insta DM, you can send like 500 DMs a day on Instagram, and both yield pretty good results. Most of my outreach success has been on these two platforms. Highly recommend. And now step 4, you want to actually sell to the client. And this is something I talked about in my last video as well. When you're selling to the client, you want to make sure they're paying a 30 to 50% deposit up front. Why? This ensures the client does not flake. It makes sure the client actually trusts you and dedicates you, because imagine you're nearly done your project and they're like, well, I'm actually going to this other dev now. You're like, bro, I just spent like a month on this project and all of a sudden you're just, disappearing, right? Or for bots, you probably spent like 3 days on something and they're just at the end last day, they're like, nah, I don't want to work with you anymore, or I don't want to pay this much. And then the contract falls through and you just did all this work for nothing, which is why you always want to charge in advance. By charging in advance, it ensures that the client will see it through. Because if they already paid you some money, they're not going to just not pay you any more money, right? They're probably going to see it through. This is a real conversation I have with someone where I asked them for the 30% upfront. And so they sent the $500. I said, got it, thanks. Then I started working, right? And then once the bot's completed, from like the coding standpoint, this is before you actually give them the bot, you ask for the rest. So right here, I asked for the remaining 70% and they sent the $1,000. It was a $1,500 project overall. But there's more. If the bot works, which hopefully if you coded it well, it does, then you actually get bonuses. And a lot of clients in my experience have given me a lot of bonuses. I've gotten probably like $30,000 in just bonuses from clients because they're so happy with the way the bot is. In this example, it's $250. Another example, I've gotten a $2,000 bonus before. So bonuses are just something that if you have a good relationship with your client, they are more than willing to give you something like that. And now we go to step 5, get referred. Clients know other people in the space. Okay, if you have a client and that client wants a bot for a website, that client probably has friends who are on the same website or use the same website, so they can refer you to those people. You might have to incentivize clients to refer you to other potential buyers, and you can do that by telling the client, hey, if you refer me, I can give you $100 credit for your next project, or I can reduce my monthly cost for you by like 20%, something like that, right? And it creates a cycle where you create the software works, client's happy, you get a referral, you create the software for them, or you just resell the same software, which is another great thing with bots is usually once you create the program, you don't really have to edit it much. You can just sell the same program to a bunch of people and that will accomplish everything for you. So software works, client's happy, you get referral, create software, that's it. Now, when you are trying to get other buyers for the same program that you made for someone else, you want to capture the success of your current client or clients, because this will actually motivate people to be like, oh, this guy is actually legit. This is what I mean. I have screenshots of like people sending me bonuses or happy with my work, and I just show them to like new potential leads so they actually see that, hey, I'm not a scammer, one, and that I actually have real client work that I've done and that they've been happy with. So that way the client, new lead, actually trusts me. And so, it's like, you know what, this guy probably has a good reputation. I can trust him. I'm willing to give him that 30%, 50% upfront. That's how you really are able to scale your clientele and land some pretty big projects. One bot is all you need to make $10,000 a month. That we'll be going over that made me the $1,500 in 2 hours. All you have to do is follow it exactly the way it is and you will be able to do the exact same. So step 1 is the content. You must post a short piece of content on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok. Now, the content that I posted was on YouTube Shorts, and you can probably see on my channel right now if you wanted to try. Now, what were the metrics of this piece of content that I posted? It got 1,500 views. It was a very niche video because the video was for how I created a shift scheduling bot. So basically it was a tool that was able to book shifts for hotel workers because they work at hotels, which you call a shift. So this tool just booked it for them. It gave them time back in their day. They don't have to worry about booking a shift, and it just saved them time. It was, again, a very niche video, and it was very direct. It was straight to the point, 30 seconds. I just told them exactly what my product did, and if they're interested, to email me. This is what I want you all to do. Follow this exact same steps, okay? Just pick a platform, post your piece of content, and in the content, just tell them, hey, email me if you're interested. And this is where you unlock step 2. So the one thing you want to really make sure is to include your email in the description of all of your content, because the more views your video gets, the more people will email you requesting for something similar. And if you don't have an email in the description and they want the service you're advertising, they're going to have no way to connect with you, and you're just going to potentially lose out on a multi 4-figure, 5-figure lead. This is what happened with me. After the 1,500 views, I got an email from a person asking for a script to guide them through a website purchase process. And simply they asked me if they could hire me to create a script for them. They said that they have items that come up for sale that sell within 1 to 2 seconds. The one thing to notice is this isn't asking me for a bot for hotel shifts, right? It's asking for something very similar, but not for the same industry. And that's perfectly fine. That's the beauty of posting content online, is while someone might not be interested in the exact service you are selling, if they are interested in something very similar, then they'll still ask you, because you just proved to them that you have the skills to create a shift scheduling bot. So you must have the skills to also create a script that can buy an item on a different website. So my reply was that, sure, which website is it? And then they responded, because you want to get the scope of the thing that they're creating, because you want to make sure that you know exactly what you're getting into, because if they're asking you to do something crazy, you might have to pass on the project. But the person talked about the items, how to do it as well. You enter a serial number, click a tick box, then a blue box says buy or something like that, and you have to click it. So again, very straightforward. He explained the process, and after this, I got his number and we hopped on a call just to iron out everything that's going to go on, as well as talk about payment. And then I got to step 3, coding less than 100 lines of code, guys. Yes, less than 100 lines of code. Can you possibly believe that? You got paid $1,500 to code less than 100 lines of code. Beginner tutorials are more than 100 lines of code. So this is absolutely mind-boggling. The 2 frameworks / libraries I used to write actually less than 60 lines of code, it ended up being like 56 lines of code, was Node.js and Puppeteer. Very famous for web scraping, highly recommended by a lot of software engineers and even beginner programmers in the space. And if you're interested on learning how to use Puppeteer.js and Node.js, I actually have a tutorial on this channel that I posted talking about web automation with Chrome. So be sure to check that out. And this is a real code file. This is literally the code file that is the script for this website. You see 54 lines of code. Okay, now obviously I condensed the code, so I'm not showing you guys what the code is, right? If you really are interested, just email me. But yes, you can see only 54 lines of code. Very straightforward. 54 lines of code, $1,500. If you want to learn, check out the tutorial. It's going to help you a lot. And this is where we get into step 4, selling to the client, actually selling the product that you made. Now, one thing I did mention earlier that is very important is have the client pay a 30 to 50% deposit up front. The reason is you want to ensure that the client does not flake. You want to prove that the client trusts you and is dedicated to you, because what if they're asking you to do something, but they're also asking 3 other developers to do something? If one person finishes before you and you're like 80% done, he might say, or she might say, no, it's okay, I don't need to move forward with you anymore. So you just put in all that work for no payment, and that would suck for you a lot, and that would probably hurt your confidence as a developer. So it's better just to make sure that the client is dedicated to you by getting a deposit. And once you get that deposit in your bank account, it motivates you to actually deliver, right? Because not a lot of people like to work for free. This is the real text messages. He emailed me, or he sent me some messages, and I had asked him to send me 33% up front, which is about $500 since it's a $1,500 project. And he sent it, I got it. And then once the bot was completed from a coding standpoint, it wasn't tested on the actual website. It was just completed from a coding. The code was done. I asked him to send the rest, and it was $1,000, right? That was the remaining 70% or 66% if you want to say. And he sent that as well. And I just let him know that make sure not to share the bot with other people. What you can do is you can have the client sign a contract, like an NDA, so they can't just resell your script to someone else. That's what I usually do. But there was more. Something really special happened. This happens to a lot of people, a lot of programmers in this bot space. I told him that, hey man, we tested the tool, and the tool worked. It literally worked on drop day, and the client was so happy that he was willing to give a bonus. And you will see this a lot. A lot of people will be willing to give you bonuses if your bot works the way they want it to, and it gives them happiness and like joy. So he sent me $250 as like a bonus with no added work. So in reality, this was really a $1,750 project that I made within 2 hours. So again, extremely happy with the results. And now step 5 for those who made it to this part of the video, this is kind of a bonus step, is you want to upsell as much as as you can. In the upsell, you have already gained the client's trust. So they are more than willing to give you more money for a project that they need completed because they trust your skills, they paid you already, and they know you deliver, and you just have that mutual trust. So this is how our conversation went. He had asked me, what else do you do? Usually you want to ask the client like, hey, do you need anything else? In this case, the client was so happy that he just asked me right away. So I told him I create software apps, websites, and he asked if I do like any web development, I guess. And I said yes. And you always want to give the client an incentive to work with you further. So I said I will give him $100 off whatever the next project is. And he said that he was glad that he found me, and then we will continue from there. We ended up actually agreeing on creating a website for him. So you can offer a couple additional services like website design, app development, more bots if that's your specialty, or as well as like AI minor services. You can choose what additional service you want. Every client might have a different need, but we landed on website design, which was pretty cool. And you basically end up following this one cycle when you are working with clients in the software space. Of course, bot development is included in that. You create a software, the software works, the client is happy, you upsell the client, you create the software, client's happy, and you repeat the cycle. And this is how you can ultimately make an infinite money glitch depending on your client. Obviously, if your client has the capital, then they can work on virtually an unlimited number of projects with you, and you're going to be set for a good amount of time from just 1 or 2 clients. So by following this 5-step framework, I was able to make $1,500 within 2 hours plus a bonus, which, well, again, is highly possible, highly replicable. All you have to do is create your content, respond to the incoming emails, actually create the tool, right? Create the bot that is being asked for, sell it, and then upsell. And the upsell can be an unlimited amount of money.
Now with you knowing the basics of what an agent/bot development business looks like, it's time to actually learn how to create your very own. These next set of videos will walk you through step-by-step creating your very own agent from start to finish.
This is the first video of the series. We will have to set everything up. So first things first, we must download Node.js. You simply go to this website right here. It will automatically detect whether you have a Mac, Windows, and which form. And all you must do is just click the download button. I already got things started. I already have Node.js downloaded, but once it is downloaded, all you have to do is just open your package, download whatever it asks you to download, and boom, you'll be good. And then you're going to want to download Puppeteer. But how exactly will you be able to do this? We'll go over that very shortly. But what is Puppeteer? So Puppeteer is a Node.js library that we will be utilizing to control our browser, right? This will be like the mastermind behind the entire web automation task we will be doing. This is a very important framework that we'll be using. There's a lot of documentation, a lot of resources online about it, which is why it is probably the most famous. I know Selenium is another big one, but I've always used Puppeteer, and that's how I made most of my web automation programs. So now what you must do is you just gotta go to your desktop. You could create a new folder, say web automation, and you just gotta open this folder in Visual Studio Code. So I opened this folder. Now I just make a new file. Let's call it index.js. And you're going to want to open your terminal. Now this is how you check if you downloaded Node.js successfully. Your Node.js -- version. So if something comes up, then that means you have Node in your computer. Otherwise, you get an error saying, hey, Node is not found, this command is not found. In that case, you do not download Node.js properly. So you want to make sure you have it downloaded perfectly. And now you just got to do npm init. And I just spam enter at this point. And you will have a package.json. You got to make sure this is there. And now you got to do npm install Puppeteer. This is how you download Puppeteer and are able to use it in your program. Now I already have Puppeteer downloaded, but because this is a new folder, it has nothing in it. So you gotta download all the Node modules you want to download. And while that's downloading, we can start looking at the documentation. We're going to just want to copy this beginning part right here. Let's go to index.js. And now we're gonna do a curly brace, parentheses, this will automatically call it, and then semicolon. All right, so the Puppeteer is downloaded. So now what we do is const Puppeteer equals require Puppeteer. Then now we'll be able to use Puppeteer successfully. So you want to copy these 2 lines of code right here. One thing you want to do is you want to do headless false. This way we will actually be able to see our browser. Okay. And let's make this go to any website. Let's say google.com. You want to format it properly. So make sure the URL is a full URL. All right, so you save it, and now we run it doing node index.js. And we're gonna see the browser pop up very shortly, and it will go to google.com. The first time you run it, it might be a little slower, but you'll see, boom, google.com. And now you're like, well, this looks kind of funky. In fact, why is it like half the size? Well, to fix that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna first cancel this. If you look at the documentation, they have a set viewport, which will basically set the dimensions of your page. Okay, so by setting the viewport to this, we can now do node index.js, and we're going to see a significant difference in the size. You see right here, the browser looks much more normal, but there's still some gray space right here. What we're going to want to do now is the following. We're going to want to close this, and we're going to want to install a better version of Puppeteer that already has all these things figured out for us. In order to do that, we're going to go to this right here, Puppeteer Extra Plugin Installs. It's a very important NPM package that basically masks your browser so no website is able to tell that you are a automated program. They all think you're a real user. So you just want to paste that right here. And now we can run Puppeteer plugin stealth. So to do so, we'll just copy these three lines right here. You see all evasion techniques, save it. You can take this viewport line out, and we can now run the program. If you get this module not found, okay, it's because I didn't install Puppeteer Extra. You want to make sure you install both. All right, now it should be good. Puppeteer.use not a function. Okay, so to get past that error, all you have to do is just change the way you're calling the code. So if you just do async function run, and you get this code right here, copy it, delete this, paste it there, and you can call run. You'll be able to successfully run the program. So let's run it. And you can see how Google now fills up the entire screen, and it looks like a real browser. You could not be able to tell that this is Chromium and not Chrome. Okay, and now what we can do is we can go to any website we want. Let's go to walmart.com. Let's find a product on walmart.com. Okay, so the iPad Air. Let's say I want my browser to click this button right here. What I'm gonna have to do is go to DevTools. Let's bring it to the bottom. Click it right here. So you want to look at through the HTML. This is how you look at the HTML of the button. Okay, and we want to copy. We want to target this button, right? So what we're gonna have to do is find the selector. So in this case, the selector will be button. This is an object. The HTML element is a button, and we're going to look at this data automation ID attribute and get the value. So in other words, if we just go to the console, this is how you verify that you can, through code, detect a element on a page. You want a selector, it's a query selector, button, then there's data automation ID equals single quotes ATC bracket double quotes enter. So you see right here how it's highlighting that button. So all we have to do now is just copy that. Let's let selector equal, so this is a full selector, right? And let's make sure we go to the correct website. Okay. Now what we do is await page.wait for selector. Now what this will do is the program will wait for this selector to appear, and once it does appear, we can do await page dot evaluate. And this is how you inject JavaScript directly into your browser. So we do document dot query selector dot click, right? And that matches exactly what we did here, right? The dot click makes the button actually be clicked and invokes a click property of the button. And we see right here that we pass in a variable called selector, which we use inside the actual JavaScript code we're going to be injecting to the browser. And this selector is just like the actual variable right here. Okay, so if we were to name this S, we could. But this has to be selector because that's the variable we're passing in, right? But just to make it simple and easy, I just keep the variable names the same. And that's all we need to do. So now if you were to rerun this, we can see it successfully pre-order. Let's verify. Run the browser. See right there? It just clicked it by itself, hands-free. Okay? So it's added to cart, and now you were just able to click a button on a website by running code. Like, isn't that crazy? You don't even have to use your hands, right? And this is why web automation can be so powerful. And now in the future videos, we'll be going more in depth into the many things you can do with Puppeteer.js and web automation, and we're gonna create some very cool projects. Welcome back everyone to this web automation series where I will teach you exactly how to create any web automation tool on the internet. This includes bots, web scrapers, and more. This part, we will create a program that enters details into a form with text boxes, drop downs, buttons, and more, and we will ultimately submit the form. This is extremely important because every web automation tool should be able to submit a form. So do not miss any detail in this video. All right, so we are pulling up the code from last part. You see it's a Walmart add to cart code. What we're going to do is we're going to delete this link right here, right? We can also remove all of this code right here, and we're going to go to this website, phil.dev/form/credit card simple. And what we're going to do is we are going to put that link right here, okay? And now the browser will go to this page, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to enter stuff in here, right? So we want to enter my name. So to do this, we're going to go on more tools, developer tools, and we're going to select the ID for this tool right here, for this box. So we see that the selector's ID equals cc-name. What we're going to do is we're going to copy it. This is how we're identifying this box, and you always want to use the ID if available. Sometimes you can't, the element won't have an ID, but otherwise if it does, you want to use the ID since the ID is extremely unique and only one element on a page can have an ID. So no ID will be repeated. So now what we do is do let selector equals input ID equals what, CC name. All right, so now we're going to do await page dot wait for selector. Yeah, and now we're going to do after that is we are now going to use a page.type method, which actually allows you to type anything into a field. You just pass in the selector, which we have right here, and what you want it to type. So let's do Ritesh Verma. That's my name, for those who don't know. Now we're going to run this code and see it opens a browser and boom, it types right for us. Like nice and quick, we don't have to worry about anything. So we got that part done. So let's kill the bot. And now what we have to do is we want to also make the bot choose a item in this list, right? One of these options. So the question is, how do we do that? This is where you follow the same approach. You grab the ID of this this drop down, right? So let's copy that. And now we will update selector to equal input ID equals that. So now when we update the value, we know that the selector will already be there, right? If this is here, then so will this, right? We don't have to wait for the selector to appear again. You only do wait for selector to, just in case you're going to a page for the first time and you want to make sure that the text box is there before you start typing it, because if it's not there, you're typing in nothing, correct? So you don't have to wait for the selector anymore. We can just simply do await page.select, right? And now we pass in the selector. And now we pass in the value we wanted to select. Now, what do I mean by value? If you open this select, you see all these option values, correct? We want to pick whichever one. So you want to go by the value. So in this case, we want the Visa, right? So we're going to type in Visa. So what it should do now is it should actually select Visa for us. So let's test this out. Oh, looks like it crashed. No element found for selector. Input ID equals cc-type. What this means is that this does not exist. Oh, because it's not an input, it's a select. You see, right here, select tag. Over here, it was an input tag. So you want to be careful with that. Let's run it again. Boom. It typed in Ritesh Verma and it selected the credit card type. So now we can finish up the process. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. So we're just going to input. We're going to have to just destroy the bot again. Control C. Now we just grab in the details for this. So it's what? CC input ID equals CC number. So just copy that. Number, copy that, and you see a lot of web automation just copy paste, guys. 4242 4242 4242 4242 16 digits, right? 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 3. Am I tripping? Okay. 4242 4242 4242. All right. 16 digits right there. So now we also have to the expiry month as well. So CC-expiry month. Okay. And we're going to, let's say you want the expiry month to be October 2026 is expiry, okay? So that means expiry month, we want to be 10. And we have to check the values, okay? Remember, so the value is, 10. And then for expiry year, it's this, and the value is to 2026. So copy this, expiry year, and we're gonna do 2026. So we have the name on card, we have the type, we have the number, expiry month, year. All we have to do now is just click pay. So we're going to do, you see there's no ID for this button, so we're just gonna have to go for the submit. So we can do selector equals button type equals submit, because there's only one button that has this type on this entire form, right? And now we just do await page dot click selector, and this should take us to the end. What I'm going to do is let's comment this out just so we can see the bot actually type in everything and select everything. Make sure that works before we actually click the button to proceed. Okay, so you see it didn't type in the CVV. Did I forget CVV? I did forget CVV. See, this is why we want to make sure. CC-CSC, CC-CSC, CC-CSC. So CC-CSC. Let's say CV is 611. Okay. Let's do 911. Let's do 917. Now let's try again. Yep, everything is selected for us, as we can see. So now all that's left is to click pay, and we commented that out already. So now let's uncomment that out, and let's see if this works. Boom, 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 and it submitted successfully. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the iPhone 16 page. And before making any agent, what you have to do is go through the exact same process a normal human would when buying the iPhone 16, at least for the first page. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up developer tools. And we know the first thing users will do is click iPhone 16 Pro. Then they might click, let's say, color black, then 256 GB. We're going to automate all this and actually click these elements without manually doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this right here and find the selector for this element. Now, what a selector is basically a way of identifying a element. This is an element right here on your overall web page. This is the HTML. This is like the code that makes this page look the way it does. So if we highlight this right here, we see there's an input field. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically click this input field without manually doing it. And here's how we're going to do it. So we're going to edit attribute, data. We're going to copy its value. Okay. And now we're going to do is do document.query selector input. Data autumn was a field, right? And it was an input tag. So if we do this, we see that we are returning this element, right? It's basically getting that element we just found. So now if we do dot click, it'll click it. So let's try that again. Let's click Pro Max, and now watch. We're gonna click this first one right here just by clicking enter. So we're running this JavaScript code right here, doing dot click, boom. See how I selected that? So now we repeat the same process for right here, for let's say the first color. Input type equals radio, negative dimension color, value equals desert titanium. So we're gonna target this attribute with this value. So let's copy, let's do attribute, copy that. So now we do input value equals, again, same exact process, desert titanium, dot click, boom, it selected it. So just like that, we were able to select two elements without actually having to click it manually, just by running some code in the console. So now with this, let's keep this in mind and let's move on to the actual code itself. Okay, so we know that the browser is effectively running, so now we have to do is actually add this item to cart. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use those selectors we found earlier and automate the clicking of the page. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do wait page dot wait for selector. And we're going to pass in that selector that we found earlier. So it was input data autumn equals, what does it equal again? That. So we have that, and then we're going to pass in the selector, basically waiting for this to load, waiting for this to appear on the page. Once it appears on the page, we are going to inject the JavaScript that we did earlier. So we're just going to copy the exact code we have in the browser. So right here. Boom. It's going to click that element, and let's see if it does that. So let's run the bot. Oh, what's going to happen is we need to call the run function. Let me wait. Add to cart, pass in the page. And now let's run it. And we see that, there you go. It clicked the iPhone 16 Pro for us. And earlier, we also were able to click the color. So now, we can do is just copy this and repeat the exact same thing that we just did right here. We update the value of the selector into this. So take that out. And we're gonna wait for it. And now what we can do is, instead of just having to rewrite this exact same thing, like copying this and putting that here, you can do selector, and then comma selector at the end. Or for simplicity, just make this S, What this is doing is this variable you're injecting into like the environment of the browser, it is finding that element, right, whatever it is, and it's gonna click it. Now what is that element? Well, we pass in the selector, and if you look at the attribute, is this. So doing this is the exact same as just typing this selector into right here. This is a little neater way of doing it. And now what should happen is it will, you run the bot again, it should click both of them. It should click the iPhone 16 Pro, and then it should click the color as well. Okay, so I just realized why it didn't change the color or click the colors, because I didn't save the file. So now that I saved the file, now let's run it. And there you go, it clicked the color as well. So it did that. So now what you have to do is basically replicate this exact clicking and finding of the element on the web page by highlighting each of the elements we want to click, finding the input, finding its data item, right, if available, and then just doing the exact same code for each element on this page. So let's do that right now. So you all can see right here that the code looks something like this, where you are clicking every single element on the page that matters. So 256 GB, no trade-in, buy, click Journey Carry Later, no Apple Care coverage, and then finally clicking the button. And once you click the button, you're going to be taken to this page. And from here, we are going to go to the next step. And it's pretty similar to what we've been doing so far, where you just find what element we have to click. So we see button type name equals proceed. So what we're going to do is make a new function now. Async function, let's say shipping. And we're going to do await page selector equals, what is it, button name equals proceed. And then we're going to do await page dot wait for selector, pass in the selector, and then do what we've been doing this whole entire time. And that's right there. Now, you guys might be thinking, hey, Ritesh, we've been kind of using the same code like pretty consistently. Is there a faster way to like do this without having to copy paste everything? Yes, there is. And that's where you can make a simple helper function like the following. Let's have a category for just helper functions. In this case, let's call it await async smart click. Let's take in a selector. Taking a page and a selector. What we're gonna do is this block of code that we've been repeating so many times. We set a selector, we do a page.wait for, then we do a page.evaluate. We can just copy this right here, paste this into here, and selector is already created. So instead of having to use the same exact couple lines of code again and again, we can just call the smart click function. And let's do with pause, in case you want a pause at the end, like in this case right here. It's not required, but you never know. And then we can take the pause, and that'll be in milliseconds. Okay, so now if we were transforming this code, how would it look like? Simply, it will be await smart click with pause, page, input, let's do a 0. So now if you look at the code that we originally had compared to now, right? So this is how the code looks now. You can see it's way smaller, way shorter, and just more concise in general. So this is how our add to cart method looks now. You can see it's much shorter than it used to be. No repeated code. It's very concise. So if you look at the code from before to now, it's significantly less lines of code, which is perfect. So now what we're gonna do is we have the add to cart. Now we do the await shipping. And the await shipping so far, all we're doing is, again, we're gonna actually just do await smart click with pause, pass in the page, pass in the selector, let's do 0. And now what we are going to see is after you click this, what happens next? Okay, so it looks like there's another button you got to click. Nice. This is called shopping cart. And you can see there's different ways to target a selector. You don't always have to have the tag in front of it. Sometimes you can just do the dot for the class. You can do this way without the tag. There's different ways you can target selectors. So just it's good to know couple of ways to do it, which is why I have some, you know, nice examples right here. But we see, so we're gonna do ID equals the following, and again 0. So after you click this, what happens next? Let's see. Another button. Wow, they love their buttons. Same thing right here. So we're gonna do, and you see how we are saving so many lines of code by not having to just type out the exact same thing over and over again. Yeah, right now I'm not really using the pause feature, so maybe you don't need this extra parameter, but you never know when you might need it. In that case, let's do right here. The reason I'm putting a pause is I feel like after this page right here, there's some like delays going on. Things have to load. You don't really need it, but you know, why not? And now here we are where we are going to basically just click this button right here and continue to the next page. Whoopsie daisy. You guys might be like, whoa, you're getting paid $2,000 for this? Exactly. Very straightforward and repeatable. And that, you probably don't need that. Yeah, I just added that. I felt bad for that last parameter. Okay, so we continue shipping address. And over here, we're going to just change whatever values are in here anyways. You see New Hampshire is where we currently have. My client's in New Hampshire, but for testing purposes, you can put in your own street address. It's all fine. And yeah, now let's get to the shipping stuff, like the actual part that matters. So over here, now the job isn't to click these. We're not trying to just click this, right? We actually have to type it in. We have to type in whatever information we want to type in. So the way to do that is we are gonna have to do the await page dot wait for selector. I believe it's input. It was ID equals. Let's copy that. And now we're gonna do the same thing, but for the other fields. We're gonna type in this field, the zip code as city, state, and email address, phone number. So let's get to it. All right, so this is how the shipping code looks like. Again, pretty straightforward. I've also used some other ways to, target selector. So we saw that we can, once you wait for that first selector, once you know that this shipping form is here, then we don't have to wait for the rest of them, because if this is done loading, then the rest are also, obviously done loading. It's not like this page is gonna just have this box and these boxes are still loading, right? So we only have to wait for that first selector. Then we look at the second selector. We see that the name, one, is much shorter than its entire ID. Its ID is so long. So I start targeting the name. So I have last name, and then for the next box, I have the street. This is my old address for my college. So do not pull up here. I will not be there, and you're gonna be creepy. And now also for the zip code, what happens is you see that there's already a zip code entered. If I want to change this, because this is not the zip code I live in, I have to click it 3 times and then click backspace on my keyboard. So if you're to replicate this, right, you can also just, let's say I had that back there, instead of clicking backspace, you can also just do 1, 2, 3 and just start typing right away, right? So that's what I did right here. I just had the zip code clicked 3 times and I started typing my zip code. And then I have my email. I have a fake phone number. Again, this is fake. Do not call me. I don't even know if this phone number exists, right? And then we finish up by clicking this button right here. And this will take us to the payment page. So let's now inspect the payment page. All right, so we're at the payment page, and what we have to do is click this first element right here. So we're gonna have to do that. And if you look at above, see the input field is right here. So we're gonna target the name. The name's kind of long, but I mean, we'll go for it. So we're gonna make a new function now. Async function payment. And we know what we're about to do. We're gonna pull out that smart click with pause, page, And then so input name equals that, and then 0. So that's gonna be clicked. And once this is clicked, we now have these other 3 fields you must fill out. So either credit card, I don't see a name attribute. I do see the ID. So I guess we'll just, copy the ID. In this case, remember, we're gonna have to actually type in it. So we just do page.type input ID equals. But after we click this element right here, it does take time for this to load. So we're gonna need to wait for the selector, because otherwise it's gonna be instant. So in this case, we're gonna do selector equals that. And then we're gonna do the selector. We're gonna wait for it to appear. Right. So let's wait for the selector to appear. Once it appears, we're gonna type in a credit card. Now, I'm not gonna show my credit card information. So what I usually do is fake credit card generator. Generate it. Okay, so we're gonna do. Let's just copy this. We're gonna use for a CV and stuff as well. There you go. And then we will do await page.type in the other fields as well. So expiration has this long ID. So ID equals, and then it's what? So 02/29. 02/29. Yep. And then CVV has, nice. So CVV, we're gonna do await page.type ID equals, same thing, 940. Okay, so this should type in everything that we needed to type in. And then after that, so if we decide I would paste this in, what will the user be doing next? So 940. There, click this button. Nice. So let's copy this button right here. We're gonna do await page.click. Again, we don't need to wait for the selector because it's already there. Okay, so it's gonna click that, and then what's gonna happen is it's gonna do continue review, and the final button is gonna appear right here. So we're gonna have to do place your order. And it's the exact same ID as last time, so we can literally just probably copy paste this code. But let's do since it's gonna take some time to load that second button, it's a smart click with pause, page, just copy this directly, and 0. And this should take us to the finish line. And we're gonna do one test. See, it was pretty repetitive, right? A lot of the same stuff over and over again. But we're gonna run it and see if this works. We are going to add some delays when it comes to the clicking, simply because you don't want the bot to be clicking everything so fast to the point where it kind of seems like a robot, So certain parts, let's add a couple of delays. The typing should be fine. We have delay right there. Smart click with pause, let's do like 500. And just to be safe, let's make these like 1500. 1000 is fine, 1500. Let's do 500. Okay, so now that we got some delays going on, so we seem like a real person who's not the fastest clicker in the world, let's run this bot. This is literally the process of bot development. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Continue review. No Thanks. Oh, it clicked place your order. There you go. It worked. It finally worked. It clicked place your order, and now it's going through. It should fail because the fake credit card. There's no way it should go through. Right? I'm not trying to spend $1,000 on this phone. There you go. Failed credit card, so it didn't go through. If you use a real credit card, it will go through. This basically means that this bot is finally complete, and now it's time to actually deliver it and sell it to the client. So let's go do that right now.
So I just finished packaging the app, which is a process where you have to basically get all the code and files you created to make your bot work into one single executable that you can give to your client so they can run it on their computer, because of course not everyone knows how to run code smoothly. I got that done, and now I'm going to do is actually call the client and make sure that everything is running smoothly on his end and that he's having no issues with the bot. Hello?
Hey,
Hey, what's up? How are you?
I'm good. I'm just messing with the agent you sent me right now.
Yeah, I just called to check to make sure you were able to download the bot from the drive and get it running on your computer.
Yeah, I was. I think it crashed the first couple times, but it was my firewall acting up. Drops tomorrow at 8 a.m. though, so I gotta make sure everything's working before then.
Yeah, for sure. I tested the bot like many times myself, so it should go pretty smoothly. You can edit the info for the New Hampshire zip code, so whatever store you want the bot to send the phones to, it will, and everything else is pretty straightforward. So
Yeah, this is great. I hope it checks out in the morning. I can get you the remaining 600-ish of the 2K. The moment I get my first 16 Pro Max.
yeah, sure, man. Thanks, I appreciate it. And when you do get the 16 Pro Max, you can just send a screenshot of the payment once you send that forward. And I can just confirm it on my end. But other than that, yeah, good luck on tomorrow's drop. And if anything comes up in between, let me know.
Yeah, all right, thanks. I'll hit you up if I need anything. Thanks again.
Yep, thanks. Bye. It sounds like everything is going smoothly. Good! You have started your coding journey and are well on your way to building multiple bots. But now, let's look at some real examples of agents I've created that I've sold for 5 to 6 figures for profit. Over the next few minutes, you are going to discover a simple yet effective coding project that will make you $300 an hour. How do I know that? Because I literally just built it and made $1,500 in 5 hours. And I'm going to show the entire process from start to finish. It all started when a client emailed me telling me how he works at a hotel in California as a staff member. But there were so many other staff members at the same hotel that they had to fight with each other to get the shifts to actually work. So he needed a custom software tool to win that fight. He needed an auto respond agent. Let's break down exactly what this means. So the hotel sends a text to all the hotel staff when a shift is available, and the number that you are getting from the hotel is like a short code. The text looks something like, hey, a 9 p.m. shift is available. Reply with 42096 if you choose to accept this shift. And please notice the number that the hotel is texting the staff member with. So if there are 50 spots available for a shift, the first 50 out of hundreds of staff members to respond with the exact number in the text will get the shift. The others don't get it and have to wait for the next one. Now, I don't know about you, but I would hate having to stare at my phone for hours until a shift appears. What are we doing here? So the client needed an auto reply agent that would reply to the text with the number instantly, almost like an obsessed simp. So I hit up my bot developer mentor student Ilya, and we decided to knock this out together. The client agreed to pay us $300 an hour with a cap of $3,000. So Ilya and I quickly hopped on a call to discuss how exactly we would even create something like this. And this is where you gotta really pay close attention, because this is how you can create this exact coding project. Now, when it comes to SMS and texting between numbers, there's various platforms that you can use to create an auto reply agent. We found Google Voice, this one website called Air, Vonage, Twilio, and more. The most popular one is Twilio. I think you guys may have heard about it. So at first we used Twilio. Ilya and I created a Twilio agent that will respond to a target number. So we will tell the agent, hey, if you get a text from this number, you are allowed to respond to it. Because we don't want to just respond to any number in the entire world. So only the number we allowed the Twilio agent to respond to, it would actually respond to. So for testing purposes, we put our personal number as a target number. So anytime we texted our agent using the personal/target number, the agent will reply
what's up. If it was a random number, so not our personal / target number, it would respond with access denied. Now, while this worked perfectly, do you remember earlier in the video when I said make sure to pay attention to the number the hotel is using to text its staff members? That's what you call a short code. Twilio does not support short code. So all of that programming we did, which wasn't much, was thrown in the trash because Twilio does not support short codes, so it would never be able to accept a text from the hotel number because it was a short code. And just to further clarify, a short code is a number that is not 9 digits long, but much shorter. I believe 4 to 6 digits long. So yeah, man, that was kind of horrible because anytime a number with the short code would text our Twilio agent, it would just not respond. It would just reject it completely. So yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but we move on. Now we had to find another SMS API or service that did allow for shortcodes. And this started 2 hours of pure API research. I'm talking about text back and forth, Ilya saying he found something, me saying I found something, us trying it, us realizing that this API is another bust. Every API we came across, we would write a sample script for, and it would just end in failure. Like it would just not accept a shortcode. Sometimes like we would try even ChatGPT to give us some recommendations. We tried the API ChatGPT recommended, and they were all still total failures. And as we kept experimenting, we ran into so many issues that we thought this project might actually have to be called off. And that is a no-no. Anytime a client is willing to pay you a large sum of money for any coding project, you gotta figure out how to get it done. And that is where we came across Vonage, another powerful SMS API. But the problem with this one was it would not let us add funds to our account. And the other APIs, like I said, would block unknown carriers, and we were really at wit's end. And this was hour 3 of this 5-hour project, so you can kind of understand why we were thinking about calling this project quits. But like I said, we can't do that, even though all the code we wrote was useless. But then the one and only platform of platforms saved us. Google. Now, particularly Google Voice. Google Voice allows us to communicate with shortcode numbers, which was the biggest problem we were facing. But the one issue was there was no API that, we could use of Google Voice to process text messages. So we had to create something custom, and here's how. We used Puppeteer.js and Node.js to create a browser agent that would sit on a convo you are having with this shortcode number. So the browser agent would go to the convo between our registered Google Voice number and the shortcode of the hotel staff number. We coded the agent in a way such that every 1 second it would check to see if there's a new message with the word reply in it. If so, we would use regex patterns to take out the number that we need to respond with to accept the shift. This is also something you all can do very, very easily. Once we took that number out, we would just type in the reply field the number we just took out, and as a result, we would get the shift because this was all done within like milliseconds. You get the text, the bot reads a number out the text, replies with that number, and boom, shift is booked. Now, before I move on further, I have to shout out Ilya for helping me code this. He's extremely talented and is actually a bot developer student of mine. And if you want to become like him and all my other bot developer students, I highly recommend checking out my mentorship link in the description below. After building our browser agent within 80 minutes of pure Nerd 3000 coding because we want to hit that 5-hour mark, we decided to put it to the test. And so we waited until we got a message from the hotel shortcode saying that new shifts were available to our Google Voice bot. And then after 1 hour of waiting, something phenomenal happened. The hotel shortcode texted our Google Voice number. The browser agent detected it and just as planned, instantly replied with the shortcode. And as a result, the agent successfully booked the shift, a real shift. Now, the crazy part is the actual coding of this and testing only took us about 90 minutes to do, while the research took us nearly 3 hours. But we secured the $1,500 for 5 hours of work, and if you create this exact same project, you can make that too. So what is this coding project that is earning me a full-time salary with minimal effort on my side? And most importantly, how can you do the same? Enter web automation agents for shift-based workers. So here's the problem. In hotels, convention centers, tow truck driving, etc., there are shift-based workers who have to book shifts through their personal portals that their company provides them. For example, a dinner shift at 8 p.m. at a resort. These shifts are released to thousands of workers but only have space for about 50 to 60 of them. And of those 50 to 60, half of them get special rights to claim the shifts before the other workers. So meaning there's really only 30 spots that are open for the majority of workers. Do you get how this can be a problem? Most workers aren't able to get shifts because everyone and their mother is going for these shifts when they're released. And because of the very limited availability, these workers have no work for weeks. And this is their only job. No work means no money. No money means, well, I'm sure you know what that means. So now let's talk about the solution, aka the coding project. I was presented this exact problem by a shift worker for a very popular hotel, which name I cannot say. The worker asked me to create a web agent that could book shifts through this company's portal. In other words, automate the entire booking process because that's what agents do. This sounded easy, there is kind of a big issue. How the does a web agent know what it's supposed to automate? Like, how does it know what buttons to click, what text to enter? So as any good programmer would do, I locked myself in a room and didn't shower for 5 days to figure this out. I'm kidding. It took me like 4 hours to figure it out. It's actually very simple. That's why I'm saying anyone can do it. Like, you're about to find out right now how easy it is. So let's do some agent development 101. HTML is a language used to create web pages. Each web page is composed of HTML elements. A button is an element, a text box is an element, a drop-down list is an element. You get the idea. Literally everything you see is an element. Each element can be identified by its selector. For example, this add to cart button on Stanley Cup's website has the following HTML. So a selector for this button will look something like this. Now, how does this all relate to what I'm talking about? To create this web agent and automate the entire booking process, all I had to do was find the selectors for the buttons that I wanted the agent to click. In this case, there's only one checkbox and one button that the agent had to click. So I used Puppeteer.js to fire up a Chrome browser that could go to websites, log in, click buttons, and do whatever it was told, like a puppet. Hence Puppeteer.js. It's literally in the name. Puppeteer.js, Puppet, it's right there. That's why they call it that. Now, if you're watching this, chances are you most likely have no idea what Puppeteer.js is, which is why I will have a 30-minute long YouTube video in the description where I create a web agent live using Puppeteer.js and talk about exactly what Puppeteer.js is. So check that out. Trust me, it's actually very simple. Even 5-year-olds know. I highly recommend you take a look, even if you never coded a day in your life. I then tested this agent on a live shift drop and it worked. It literally worked on the first try. I was able to book the shift for the worker at lightning speed. And the reason why is simple. It's actually a no-brainer. A computer running code will always be faster than the human who's moving the computer's mouse to click on a button. Because let's be honest, we are slow. Even though we think we're fast, we're not faster than a computer. After the web agent booked multiple shifts, I'm talking about like tens of 20, this client who is now able to put food on the plate for his family as a single father told his friends about it, and before I knew it, I had about 15 people paying $500 to $700 a month to use this agent. Pretty crazy, but how exactly can you do the same thing I did? Well, for starters, there are over 100 shift scheduling sites out there for a variety of industries. Hotels, convention centers, towing, I listed in the beginning of this video. Here are a few sites that have hundreds of workers fighting to get shifts, struggling to get work, and income to survive. Your job is to learn Puppeteer.js and create a web agent for these scheduling sites. Now, please be sure to read the terms and conditions of the website, as some do not allow web automation. If they don't allow it, don't do it. I'm not liable for that. Others don't even address it. In fact, they kind of like the fact that they have web agents / bots on their website because it makes more competition, more hype. That's why sneaker websites don't actually stop the bots. So don't be afraid to make bots for those sites. Now, this isn't even the best part. Do you want to know what is? The best part is you can create web agents for more than just scheduling sites. There are thousands of industries other than the shift booking industry that can benefit from web automation. For example, sneakers. I'm sure you've heard about the latest Nikes, selling out in seconds. So web automation is literally going to be 2025's biggest opportunity.
You can create these very agents that you've seen in these past couple of videos. If you have not realized already, coding can be used to turn yourself into a one-person business. Just you as a solo programmer making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's how I made 6 figures this past year by turning agent development into a one-person business.
You are someone who codes. I'm someone who codes full-time but earns more money through my coding-based side hustles than my full-time job. Now, if I told you you also can make more through this coding-based one-person business model than your full-time software engineering income. Yeah, more than those overpaid software engineers as well who just code 5 lines a day and attend 10 meetings per day. So what is this one-person business model that's built for software engineers? Before I discuss that, let me give a quick explanation of what the one-person business model framework that everyone and their mother has been talking about. If you know how to code, I'm sure this is very self-explanatory because it's literally in the name. But when you are a one person running a business, you are a one-person business. Now, this does not mean you can't work with anyone. Like, you have to go solo dolo. You can't form any partnerships with people or businesses. But the idea is that you are the primary owner, worker, person who's wearing all the multiple hats, right? So you're the developer, you're the marketer, and the project manager all in one. That's really what makes up this one-person business framework. How can you as a software engineer adopt this one-person business model? Because we all know the market is trash, and you do not want to be laid off with no side income. It all boils down to the first sentence. You are someone who codes. To successfully run a one-person business for any field, not just tech, you have to be able to do 3 main stages: create, grow, and maintain. For the rest of this video, I'm going to go over the literal blueprint you have to follow to hit all 3 of those things, particularly as a software engineer running a one-person business. The create stage is a very important stage. You see, 40% of one person's businesses fail here. The first major reason is because of cost. It's not cheap to start a business, but guess what? For programmers, it is. Coding requires only a laptop. You can make a full web app with just a laptop you probably already own. And maybe some other minor costs such as like a website domain. Okay, so now that cost is out the way, here comes the real hard part. What do you create? As a software engineer or someone who is even learning how to code or like studying computer science in college, you most likely have already done the first two steps. You've thought of something and created it. Now, whether it be a school project like a small calculator app program written in Python, or maybe a website or two, or some games like, you probably created a snake with JavaScript even. And even if you've done none of these things, you can quickly go on YouTube and actually create one of these things very quickly. So that means you can create your first software product, website, game, calculator app today within the next like 3 hours. The point is, most of you have already created some sort of product, and if you have it, it's really easy to just learn and create one, right? And once you create your first product, whether it be in the past or today, you are skilled enough to create a program of your own that can do something unique. And now no one's asking you to make the next Tesla software or the next Instagram. It can be something super simple as long as it is unique or innovative in some way. Now, how exactly do you find the innovative ideas? I recommend going on acquire.com or Product Hunt to see some SaaS ideas of other developers that you can build on top of or get inspiration from. Once you have the idea you want to create, use a tech stack that you're most familiar with. Makes sense with your idea. Certain tech stacks favor certain ideas, certain tech stacks don't favor certain ideas. And once all that's sorted, you create your software. I personally favor the Node.js, React.js tech stack just because it's able to integrate very easily with mobile and web platforms, and it's just a bunch of resources and tutorials on them. Now, my personal example of the create stage was when one day I was messaging people on Instagram asking if they need a website created for the small business, because at this time I was applying a one-person business model and hustling on my own with a web design agency. I don't really do that anymore. I shut it down. But after spending hours sending a bunch of cold messages on Instagram, I got the idea to create a software that could do cold outreach on Instagram efficiently, securely, and fully automated. So to save my own laziness, I decided to create a product that did exactly that. And I knew it was able to message a bunch of people on Instagram. All I had to do was click go and I could walk away from my computer. And I know if I'm too lazy to do this, there's probably other people who are as lazy as me, if not lazier. So I used my laptop from 2019 and spent about 2 months coding in Node.js and React.js to create the final product called InstaDM, which is actually available right now. I even made a website for it using a template I got from Webflow. Like, this was my literal create stage example. Now the next stage comes, the growth stage. This is where software developers kind of falter. They kind of mess it up. You see, we can be introverts and code all day, play Elden Ring like Kai Cenat. But what happens when we have to grow our software? What happens when we have to create viral content, like founder-led content, post social media posts or Instagram reels with our face in it, or even message people to try our product, or try to land key partnerships with brands that can promote our product? Elden Ring is not gonna save us then. No matter what potions or shields we use, nothing's gonna protect us or promote our product beside us. So you have to be a little bit extroverted. And if you're comfortable showing your face on social media and speaking to the camera, even if it's uncomfy at first, I highly recommend just going out there, putting yourself out there and posting content about your product. Use TikTok, use Instagram, use YouTube Shorts and short form content to your advantage. You see top softwares having full on dedicated social media accounts to their software, promoting it endlessly. Now, if you absolutely do not want to be in front of the camera, I recommend using free websites such as AppSumo and Product Hunt to bring in traffic towards your product. Many, and I mean many, SaaSes use these two platforms to bring anywhere from their first 10 to 1,000 customers for their product. Another medium people use is cold emails, sending emails to potential customers. You get these potential customers' emails from buying them from websites such as Apollo, which have lists and lists of potential people that are interested in tech or your industry. So you can target these people and send emails to them promoting your SaaS or product. No matter which method you use, there is no speaking to the camera required. So you don't have to be an influencer to market your software. Speaking of marketing, if you want to learn more about coding or tech opportunities to increase your income as a developer, subscribe to my newsletter using the link in the description below, where every Saturday I release an article talking about the latest tech side hustles you can do to make a lot of income on the side. Now let's talk about the growth stage personal to me. My personal example is I've been creating content for nearly 4 years, so I can talk to a camera pretty easily. I still mess up a lot. Like, I do a lot of mess ups, guys, like a lot. But you see, that was a mess up right there. But I use both posting on social media as well as posting on Product Hunt, AppSumo, and Reddit to market my software Insta DM. So I do the outbound introverted marketing, but I also do the extroverted marketing, because why not attack both angles? Personally, content has actually resulted in more users than Product Hunt for me, but for some people it's the opposite. You just have to try and see what works for your specific product, website, software. Now, usually in the growth stage is where the one-person business seems a bit much because it's a lot to handle, but the truth is, as a software engineer, you're not meant to be someone, who's like a master marketer, and you also aren't required to be one. Developers such as Mark Lowe, who are like going viral on YouTube now, achieve insane results posting on Product Hunt before they became big creators on YouTube. So it's very possible. And just because you are following the one-person business model does not mean you can never branch out and hire maybe a marketing expert to aid you, but it definitely is not necessary. And that is the beauty of computer science and the one-person business model. They go hand to hand. You can do a lot when it comes to software. Now, before we move on to the maintain stage, I don't want you to overlook a key highlight to why software engineering is the best field for a one-person business model. As you grow your product, you will have more and more users, and because software is scalable, there is little to no added cost for you if 10 users join or a million users join. Max is some API cost, but other than that, businesses such as e-com stores get hours of labor added on to their already hours of work as they get more users. With software, you don't have to worry about any of that. Ton of money. So while our income grows every month, our costs stay relatively the same, and the margin gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is the beauty of the one-person business model with software engineering. Now you got your idea made into an actual software, you're growing it. What's next? The maintain stage. This is where another key highlight comes. With software, to be honest, there's not much maintenance. Usually when you spend the amount of hours creating the software the first time, if you do it right, there might be occasional bugs you might have to fix in month 1 or 2, but after that, your software is in pretty good hands. You don't really have to constantly monitor every single day, maybe a touch up every single month here and there. All you have to do is focus on growing the product. Now, part of the maintaining stage is getting customer feedback, especially in the early stages of your business, whether it's for your freelance website projects, your SaaS, or your mobile apps. Actually listen and care for this feedback that you're getting is going to help shape your product out to be great for every new customer. So as that one customer comes in, your product is better for the next customer. And this helps you maintain customer satisfaction, because aside from having great software, making sure your customer knows that they're heard is a great way to have them give you a 5 out of 5 rating on the app market or whatever store or media your website's on. So when future customers look at your software, they see that's like 5 out of 5. With InstaDM, other softwares I've launched, I usually just debug everything myself, because honestly, it's a very low time commitment per week to maintain most of these SaaS products. So I think you guys will probably be in good hands yourself. I tried 11 coding side hustles, and after a ton of failures, I finally found success in the form of $200,000 in income. And all it took was just a couple of coding side hustles. And now, so you all can make you money coding, I'm going to share with you every coding side hustle I have tried, the amount I made from it, and the best ones for you to start today. Pro tip, you only need 1 or 2 of these side hustles to make it big, and by the end of this video, you will understand why. Building websites using Framer is the easiest side hustle I've ever done as a programmer, mainly because there's not much coding involved. Website builders such as Wix, Framer, Square have come so far that people who have never coded a day in their life can make pretty cool websites. Like, actually very cool. But the people who do know how to code have a crazy advantage. Do you know what it is? These website builders allow you to add custom coding components, which for a programmer means going beyond the capabilities of the builder. For example, if you're making a website for real estate agents, you can code your own mortgage calculator and embed it into your website. Now, your site won't look like all the other real estate agent sites out there, because they'll have a custom coding component. I personally have built only about 3 websites using Framer this year, and I've made roughly $2,000 doing so. One of the clients turned out to be a total nut, so if you're watching this, I hope you twist your ankle. I will give this side hustle a 9 out of 10 because it is extremely easy to do, and any business could use a cool looking site. This is like the big brother of your Framer websites. A web app is a software that runs in your web browser. I'm currently in the process of designing and creating a $80,000 web app, but since it's not created yet, I will show you a $20,000 web app that I built for stock traders instead. To build this, I use WordPress to build the bulk of the site, but I use HTML, JavaScript, and CSS to build some pretty unique custom coding components like this watch list right here. Again, this goes back to being able to add custom coding components to website builders. It makes a huge difference in the quality of your website. Now, being transparent, this took my friend and I about 1.5 months to make with a part-time schedule. But now with GPT-4o, you are a couple of prompts and YouTube videos away from building something similar to this very easily and very quick. Of course, you have to add user authentication and encryption and undergo some more advanced coding practices, but creating a nice web app can result in some big checks coming your way. giveaway. Again, I'm about to finish an $80,000 one very soon. Overall, I'll give this side hustle an 8 out of 10 just because it takes some time to create a web app. It's not as fast as a favorite website. Okay, these next two side hustles are going to blow you away and make you question your life. But before that, like this video as it really helps the channel. If you don't, I will haunt you in your sleep. This is a side hustle that has made me the most since I have started coding for income. A checkout bot is a program that buys an item on the internet at supersonic speeds. You have most likely heard of a sneaker bot buying the latest Jordans, or ticket bots taking all of the Taylor Swift concert tickets. Yeah, well, those very bots are making their creators a ton of money. In my YouTube channel, you will find a bunch of videos I created on creating checkout bots, detailing the exact process to create one. I have made over 100 checkout bots for various websites and industries, including golf, gaming, jewelry, firearms, kitchenware, Hermes bags, sneakers, electronics, and baby clothes. Yes, baby clothes. One of my checkout bots even got me on Times Square, and it cost $80,000 to get on the biggest Times Square billboard, and I got on there for free. All because my bot was able to get 2 to 3 golf clubs every single week for my client. And the biggest misconception is creating a software automation program, aka bot, is hard. It's not. I've literally mentored 16 students that have been college students or full-time software engineers how to code bots, and they are all making 3 to 5 figures every month passively. Anyone can do it as long as you know how to code hello world. I give this a 9 out of 10 because it's very learnable, there's not much competition, and the returns are insane. I personally have made over $90,000 coding checkout bots. If you want to learn, check the link in the description below. This is similar to a checkout bot, but this book shift for workers at hotels, restaurants, etc. A lot of companies have their workers competing for shifts, so I made a bot to help these very workers get shifts at various companies and states all around the United States. I currently have 2 shift booking bots out. One makes about $500 a month and the other makes $8,000 a month. Yeah, big disparity. I gotta get this $500 a month one up. Again, very easy to make bots if you understand bot development, have the proper guidance. If you want me to mentor you on how to code bots, check the link in the description below. Only 5 spots are available per month. By the time you're watching this video, it might be too late. I give the side hustle a 9 out of 10 as well for the same reasons as checkout bots. So a lead scraper is a software automation program that scrapes user information off of a website. Most lead scrapers grab users' numbers, emails, and bios off of social media websites like Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. More and more lead scrapers are getting built every single day because every single business needs leads. Leads equal clients, no leads means no clients. And companies do not want to spend hours scraping user profiles, so they rather have a program that does it for them. I use Rapid API to create a lot of lead scrapers for LinkedIn and Instagram, as well as Puppeteer.js for standard web scraping. I give this a 7 out of 10 because there is a lot of competition when it comes to lead scrapers, but they are relatively easy to make. So once an agency gets a bunch of leads, they now need to mass message them. This can be through email, a DM on social media, whatever it is. Doing this manually one by one would take hours and hours on end. So business owners use mass messaging tools to handle this instead. I recommend you try to create a mass messaging tool after you create a lead scraper. This way you will have both tools created and you can go and sell them to business owners because they will need them. Again, they'll have leads, which means clients, and now they can message those very leads and actually seal the clients. This overall, I give it 8 out of 10 because there are a lot of mass messaging tools out there. But if you make a solid one, you can grab a lot of users quickly. I even made one myself for Instagram called InstaDM. I use React.js, Node.js, and Puppeteer. And if you want to learn how to use Puppeteer.js for web scraping, I have some other YouTube video tutorials on it. Check the description below. Now with mass messaging and lead scrapers combined, I have made about $4,000. I know a good amount of HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and I recommend everyone to learn it. Everyone. And as someone who has built some pretty nice looking websites and UIs, I quickly learned that people would pay you $1,000 plus for designs of an app or website, and then another $2 to $4 grand to actually make those designs reality. Of course, this range can vary greatly depending on how involved the design is, how many pages the website is, etc. But overall, I give this side hustle a 9 out of 10 because as long as you know the trifecta of HTML, JavaScript, CSS, you can begin making front ends for any site or app. And the best part is if you're creating front ends, you don't even have to worry about the complications of the back end side of things. You're essentially a graphic designer who can code. I have made about 10 grand just creating the front end side of things. This can be one of the most rewarding side hustles if your mobile app gets paying customers. If not, you're not making a dime. So there's a lot of risk associated with this. You might be like, duh, that's how it works. If you get paid users, you make a lot of money. If you don't, you're broke. But you have to understand that a lot of apps are free, a lot. So right there, the competition is up here. What you can do is to get started, you can use Flutter, React Native, or Xcode to create a very basic app that accomplishes some sort of niche problem and then run ads on it. These ads will pay you money each time they appear on the app of a user. It works similar to the ads you see when you first click a YouTube video, or maybe the ad you see right now. Did it work? But by running ads on your free app, you're still making money. I have made about $20,000 through mobile app development, but mainly because I built an app that I privately sold to a niche community for $600 a month. It was a bot, but in the form of an app. In terms of your standard mobile app available on the App Store or Play Store, I made one in middle school and I only made like $800 off of it. So overall, I give the side hustle a 6 out of 10 just because of how hard I think cracking this market is. This is one of the most trending coding side hustles I've ever tried. I've seen a bunch of videos now promoting AI sales agents, programs that talk to humans just like a sales agent would. And a lot of these agents are built on the same software I used back in the day, Vappy, a voice API that allows for AI processing. People who have very minimal coding experience now are following these YouTube tutorials that are like everywhere and coding some pretty cool AI voice agents. I've seen AI sales agents now selling cars, phones, headsets, and more. Any business that does cold calling could benefit from this, and you just need to understand how to use Vappy to create your first AI voice sales agent. I give this a 9 out of 10 because it's very easy to learn and a lot of money is made in reselling the same agent to multiple people. If you can find a trading algorithm that works for you, then you can make a killer trading bot. But to find an algorithm that works more than 50% of the time is extremely hard. Quant firms like Citadel pay their engineers nearly $500,000 to find these algos. So if you can do the same, go for it. But this is extremely hard to do. I have made $0 off of a trading bot in the long term. It'll be $500 here, minus 300 here, 600 up here, minus 1,000 here. So I honestly give this a 5 out of 10 just because of the difficulty of making a trading bot that you can actually use for serious gains. This is one of the longest running coding side hustles there is, creating templates that other people can use. A very famous example of this is ShipFast, a SaaS created by Mark Lowe, which is just a boilerplate template for people to get their SaaS up and running. I have created bot templates in the past and made about $2,000 with them, but that was with very minimal effort and marketing. If you create a nice looking, dark themed website template using JavaScript, HTML, CSS, common theme, people will be more than willing to pay you for that template. And if you add some custom coding components to your template, then people will go above and beyond to pay you for it. This is an 8 out of 10 side hustle because it's very easy to get started. And now here's a full list and ranking of side hustles. Comment down below which one you are going to try out.
Possibilities are endless, and I'm not the only one who has been using agent development and web automation to turn coding into a one-person business, making hundreds of thousands of dollars. What you're about to see next is one of my students who went from being an Instacart driver to an automation developer. If you want to become like him, be sure to check the first link in the description below where I will personally mentor you how to code bots.
I landed a client for $15K for 3 months. I think it is like the best thing that could have happened to me. We showed him the bot. We were just like, hey, let's check this out. And he was like, at like the 3,000 whatever company that he's been with, this is like top 3 implementation.
Yeah, dang.
And if you implement everything that you learn, you can definitely like get all your value back in like 100 times more.
Welcome everyone to the channel. Today we are going to talk to someone who went from Instacart driving to now earning $5,000 a month coding bots. He's a mentee of mine and we worked on some pretty cool projects together. Everyone welcome Ilya.
Yeah, so basically I was a computer science student just like a lot of the people probably watching right now. And I was also in the same place as a lot of the people watching right now. Doing Instacart driving or DoorDash and all that just to like try to get by while applying to a ton of jobs and trying to get a job. And then I came across, I started doing bot development, and basically you taught everything that I need to start making bots, start making automation tools, things that are useful to people, and got like a nice paying client, and now I'm a software engineer for that company.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. Like your story, you're definitely one of like really unique story. I've never met someone, like who, had your background, and just progress as fast as you did. Like I've seen you progress like extremely quickly over like probably 7-week, 8-week period, to be honest. And like, it's crazy. The come up is insane. I always say the come up is insane. But what are you currently working on? I know you mentioned that, you had your client, now you're on a full-time position. But right now, like, what are you currently working on? What's your main focus?
Well, basically, what I'm working on, like big picture, is I'm making a lot of automation tools for integrating data into like database so that the company can like have an organized way of like looking over their data, and then like longer term to actually do things with the data to make it useful.
Damn. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff right there. So like you're at this company full time now, right? Like is it 9 to 5, like 40 hours a week, or is it more of a solo contract?
It's I guess you can say that it's full time now. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you excited for full time? Like, are you like, yay, or is it like, oh man, gotta work?
Well, I like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I get to learn a ton of things, and I know that it's like for the time and for the phase in life right now. I think it is like the best thing that could have happened to me.
Yeah.
Very fortunate, of course, but
Yeah. No,
I'm glad for right now. Like I'm very happy.
yeah, that's amazing, especially in today's market. Like becoming a software engineer, like there's people who have like 2 years of experience like in the field who got laid off and are still struggling to find a new job, you know? And like new grads, there's so many new grads. I you see TikToks all the time. I think they're making jokes about computer science majors on the streets. They don't have, full-time jobs. I've seen so many of those TikToks just ridiculing comp sci majors just because the job market isn't what it used to be. I do think it'll be better though. Like probably next 6 months, I think the cycle is gonna more job openings and all that. But it has been pretty hard. I know like a lot of my friends who are still unemployed, and I graduated last year in May, so. It's been a year plus, so it's pretty crazy. But
You're totally correct.
yeah. I know. I think it was week 4 when we were working together in the mentorship. I think that's when you first had told me about like this construction company client. Maybe it was week 3 or 2. But you had told me about this construction company client that you're working at that time as a contractor, and you were doing like web automation for them, and it was like I think 15K over 3 months. How did you go about you landing this 15K client? Like how'd you come across them?
Well, like they say, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
I just happened to.
Yeah.
I was at a camp with like my church and a bunch of other churches, and one of the guys that I know there, he was one of the main people in like a construction company, and it's like a relative, like it's not like a big company, but it's decent size.
Yeah.
And they were looking to do more like things with their data and like implement more like Power BI implementations for like the different services that they use, because there's services that let you store data that don't let you take data out of there, or at least don't let you do it easily.
Yeah.
So my job was to kind of force it out.
Okay. And then how did you use like web automation in particular for like parts of this project?
So I guess like the fanciest web automation was doing the I don't know if I want to say the company name just because
you can just say Bob the Builder.
They'll up their security, right?
Yeah, you can just call it like Builder LLC, whatever.
Builder LLC
Yeah.
is the best builder company.
Yeah, exactly.
So they have basically they store a lot of their like construction related data and like finances and all that in that company, and they didn't have, there was like no like API or whatever to use for it, like, and they made it, and it's like built on like old technology.
Yeah.
And so the way it was built, it was very annoying to make an automation for it. Like, there was like a long list of projects that they had like to collect data from.
Yeah.
And you have to like go to each project separately and like export it next project.
Yeah, damn, it's a lot of work.
And basically, the bot made a hybrid of like basically logged in for them, and when I could do it, I just did server requests to get the right data. And if there were no server requests to export a certain thing, I had to like figure workarounds and just like had to make the bot consistent at getting all of the data without any problems. So that was probably like the biggest web automation project I've done to date. And it's like, it's not too crazy. I think it was like about 1,000 lines of code, but like, relatively like there's some web automation projects that are like much shorter, right? And they still are like pretty high value. I think some of the bots we created, like the one shift booking one, you can, share the story of the shift booking bot. Don't talk about the actual like
client or the market's in. But from a broad overview, for those who don't know, me and Ilya actually worked on a bot together. We built a shift booking one. By we, I mean he did a lot of the grunt effort. It was a lot of research, and it was a journey. It's currently we're selling it for about $300 to $500 a month now. We're trying to branch it out and get more clients for it. But what was your experience with that? I know it was a very unique experience that we definitely encountered.
Yeah, it's a text message bot. Like
Yeah.
it's like a company that sends its like workers like text messages, and you have to respond to a text message really fast. Like it says like reply 1 2 3 4, and you have to reply with 1 2 3 4 as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Instantly. And so we thought it's gonna be easy to make like a simple use one of those API phone number tools like Twilio.
Yeah.
To just set up a bot real quick, and it's just gonna do everything for us. I think it was like 60 lines of code.
Yeah.
And it was working perfectly when I was sending it to my own phone number, or when I like had friends send it to my phone number, like reply whatever.
Yeah.
It would respond instantly. But and we actually give the bot to the client. We're like, here you go.
Yeah, we did.
And yeah, it turns out that Twilio doesn't allow sending text messages to short codes, so we were screwed officially.
Yeah. Yeah.
It went from a project that was going to take me like 5 hours to do altogether to like doing tons and tons of research. Like
Yeah.
Probably 40 to 50, like overall, like definitely over like 40 hours of just like testing every single tool on the market, trying like Google Voice, trying every little text message tool, until we came across one that actually worked, and like that. Basically, I made a puppeteer, sort of made a puppeteer bot for it. It should come up, and it just sends a response instantly.
Yeah, and we made, we're gonna make good amount of money off of it, hopefully, right? We just gotta branch out a little more, and we'll be fine. But kind of moving more into before we met, before you got into the web automation space, did you have any like coding side hustles prior? Like, were you a freelance at all? Were you freelancing at all? Like, what were you trying to do aside from obviously Instacarting? What were you doing what were you doing in terms of applying your coding skills to have your own side hustle before?
Okay. So there was different things that I kind of tried. I think the last thing that I tried before bot development was I just wanted to make an iOS app. Like that does a certain thing, whatever. And there was another, like someone else there are others that were doing it, but and they were getting a lot of downloads and like a lot of good reviews.
Yeah.
But I knew that their app was crappy. So I wanted to make like a better version of it. It's just that like I needed to make like a fancy camera implementation on like Swift UI.
Okay.
And it like kind of like burned me out because I was working on it for like 2 weeks and I couldn't get like pretty like whatever. Yeah. So that was like kind of, I didn't have any like actual like, I didn't actually earn money from anything, but I was just like doing like, I guess, pet projects and applying where I could.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are in the same position.
Yeah, honestly, like.
Also like.
Yeah.
Like doing lead coding, whatever.
Yeah. Lead code grind is real, man. I remember when I was like applying for like a full-time position at the company I work right now, I used to lead code like 4 hours a day, and it was, at a point you just get used to it, and it's kind of, in a way, it's kind of fun. It's trying to solve like the algorithms, trying to actually see if you can get past doing lead code mediums, hards. Lead code hard, I still can't do today. Like I need like a guide or something, right? It's pretty hard to do. But touching back on your coding side hustle, I know for the iOS app, yes, it didn't make you money, but it was probably a really good learning experience. Like you probably learned how you use Swift much, in a much more, you're more proficient with it, right? I know, like, I think I've told you this story as well. And for those of you who don't know, watching this, my first bot that I made, I worked with a friend on it. We spent about 8 to 9 months creating it, and which nowadays is like, that's an insane amount of time. It was a Walmart bot for PS5s. We were able to get a bunch of PS5s. We were able to get like 300, 500 PS5s a drop. But what happened was we had 300 beta users who were like ready to pay, right? And mind you, this is the first time I've ever gone to web automation, bot development. And it's like, it's competitive scene. It's a lot of like work, because it's a mainstream site. What was it for Walmart? It was like a mainstream site. Everyone was trying to get a PS5. So it was a lot of work. And it was a big learning curve. Like looking back at it, I could probably make the same bot now within like a month. But at that time, everything was new. So while I spent 8 months, 9 months creating this bot, I learned a lot, and I thought this is going to bring me from rags to riches, because it was going to be like, 300 beta users, all were committed to pay, right? At least 200 were committed to pay, and we are going to charge like a couple hundred per month. So we were thinking that, okay, we're going to make like 20 grand, 25 grand a month off of this. And the week before we released, the Walmart changed its site, the bot started crashing, and we got like zero income from it. So it was like, we were like, dang, we lost like all that, months of effort was like wasted. But that's like really naive to say, because now looking back at it, a lot of the bots that we create now, which are more niche, much easier to create, it's like, because I went through that experience, this is all like super easy now. I can churn out bots like this, right? And that's what kind of the principles I try to like teach you and the other mentees as well, is like, bot development can be much simpler if you know exactly what you're looking for, and you're picking to create bots that make sense from a time perspective, difficulty perspective, and overall your commitment to actually finish that bot. Because there's bots that you can spend hours on, like Nike sneaker bots that take so much time to create that you still might not make a dime off of them, right? And that's just something that you definitely don't want to like go down. Have you ever like thought of like creating like now that you've done bot development for a good amount of time, do you think that you would ever try creating a bot for a more competitive scene, like sneaker botting or like major retailers?
I don't think I want to get too much into the weeds of like how like Nike or whatever other site, like they're like bypassing their security, like they're trying really hard. So I think they're trying hard enough for me to be like, okay, fine.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I've always been targeting, like since that Walmart experience, I'm only targeting niche websites, right? And I tell you guys the same thing, target niche websites, because like the golf bot I made that like made 6 figures, it was just selling high-end golf clubs to collectors, right? Like I didn't know that market existed, and I made way more in 3 months off of that than like 8 to 9 months of like sneaker bot development, Walmart PS5 bot development, right? So the niche sites are definitely like where it's at. But there's like a common sentiment, and this is something that I want to ask you, since you've gone through this experience. Are bots bad?
Yeah, well, the thing is, bots are not like bad or good or something. They're tools, and there's a lot of like there's any automation you can think of. It's all like technically you can call it a bot, and you can order a pizza with a bot, or you can like collect data, your own data that your own company has. Like you can use bots to be able to obtain it, with web scrapers, bots, whatever you want to call it. And so there's also like a lot of liberation that can happen if, for example, a company wants to like store your data and not want to give it to you, and it's your own data. I think you have the right to take it back, or like to be able to like do whatever you want with it. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that like bots is like, for me in my experience, it's been like something that's been very helpful to people.
Yeah. What would you say is like the hardest? Actually, one thing about coding about bots, and I think it's a common misconception. I know nowadays people call them agents, like AI agents, but it's literally a bot. They just rebranded it as agents, so it doesn't have that negative connotation from like back in the day when sneaker bots was like the only bot people knew about. But a bot is, like you said, is just web automation, or an automation in general. It doesn't have to be web. But some people, I think that notion is starting to become more mainstream now. People are understanding that it's just automation. Like you can automate, something that's first come, first serve, like your Nike shoe, but you can also automate, like I said, ordering a pizza, literally, right? You're saving your time, and that's like the main thing. Like a lot of companies are investing. I know the companies people that work at those companies, they tell me they're investing a ton in automation tools, like internal automation tools. One of my friends, he works at a pretty big bank, and he built a tool that can automate the generation of certain PDFs, right? And he's a marketing guy. He's not even a coder, right? And he built this tool, and he's known now in his team and his other teams for that tool he built. It's saving workers like on average like 4 hours a day, right? This is a task that they do like like a weekly period. So if they spend, let's say, 9 hours, like 8 to 12 hours a week on this, he just saved them and reduced that time to like 2 hours of work now. All because of one automation tool he developed. And it's crazy. This is without saying the company's name, this is like a multi-billion-dollar bank, top 5 bank in the world, right? And they didn't think about this. Like, it's crazy. Like, the older companies, they haven't jumped into the automation space yet. They're still taking some time to get into the automation space, but it's definitely going to be a space that's going to be worth, like, it's already worth multi-million, multi-billion, but I think it'd be like definitely a trillion-dollar industry for the people who create these tools that, do a lot of like time saving for companies. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I have something to add on about that. So you said that like the bank didn't think about whatever the solution.
Yeah.
And like also with the company the puppeteer bot that I was talking, the web bot that I was talking about earlier. We had one of the people that used to work at that like company that provides that service, like where you store the data and all that. And he like provides like I guess like some guidance to like some like company at like business areas and whatever.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of experience with thousands of people that like use or thousands of companies that use that thing.
Yeah.
And when he's like, we showed him the bot, we were just like, hey, let's check this out. And he was like, dang, like this is out of like the 3,000 whatever companies that he's been with, this is like top 3 implementation.
Yeah, dang.
He was like, this is really good. So like this is something that like I guess companies don't think that it's even possible.
Yeah.
So, and the other like solution would be paying that they want like a lot of money for you to be able to do what you want with the data, and they would like send it over to you like once a day. But it's like a lot of money. It costs as much as like the subscription itself, and it's an expensive subscription already. And so it's like they didn't want to pay like a bunch of money. So
yeah. So and you
work around.
Yeah, and you automated it. So like there you go. So that's great. What would you say is like I guess the hardest challenge? Not just that, but in general, when it comes to coding agents, bots, web automation tools, whatever you want to call it. What do you think is the hardest challenge? Like if you had to like say top 2 challenges when creating these tools.
Like that I've experienced?
Yeah, that's you've come across.
Oh man. Okay, so there was one that was like I mentioned it earlier as well. So there's like a long list of projects that you need to go through forgot which some kind of data. I think it's PO data. It doesn't really matter. And the way that the slide, like the way the rows of like with the projects, they dynamically load and unload from the browser. I think they use like, anyways. And I was trying to make like an algorithm, like some iteration that like collects things and it like scrolls down a little bit and collects some more. But like it was just messing up every time, and I was just breaking my I think I spent like 3 days just like trying to figure out like this scrolling thing, like what is going on there. And until I finally had a realization of like, oh, what if I artificially make the window like insanely long so that all of them fit on the screen at the same time?
Yeah.
So like this was probably one of like the hardest or like the silliest or whatever problems that I faced. And it had like a stupid simple solution. And the other one was probably the shift booking.
Yeah.
That was probably like time consuming wise. It was the most like time consuming thing that like I've done. It's like a lot of research and a lot of like experimenting, trying everything out.
What would you say to someone who's trying to get into bot development first, and then someone who's trying to just use their coding for the side hustle?
If I like, the thing is, there's a way like the objectively fastest way of doing something, and then there's the way that you're probably gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like for me, I knew that like I could learn all of these things by myself. Like I didn't need to have you as a mentor. Technically, I could have just been like, I'm gonna do this, kind of like you did with the Walmart bot, probably.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I just already knew that I'm probably gonna like encounter some big issues, and I'm probably gonna want to give up. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take this step, and like whatever I learn in this mentorship, I'm gonna apply as hard as I can. Like this mentorship could be something that changes your life, or it can be something that's just a total waste of time.
Yeah.
It's
fair.
Like if you implement everything that you learn, you can definitely like get all your value back in like 100 times more.
One thing I'd say is, would you say coding, like anyone who knows how to code, should they maybe not should they, but do you recommend them going through some sort of entrepreneurial like route, or at least trying something entrepreneurial because they know how to code and low cost of, start a coding business or project, and it's infinitely scalable. You create something once, you can resell it multiple times. So what would you say regarding that?
Well, I would definitely recommend trying it out at least, because I mean you'd be surprised. Maybe there's like friends that you have or something. Like in my case, I just happened to have a friend that's that really impacted my life in this way.
Yeah.
That I was able to get actually start working for them.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where and I guess I haven't hit the jackpot of what kind of how you did with some of your you were able to earn a lot of money of doing some simple things. I'm getting there, but I would still recommend I can definitely see how it works, and that is definitely worth pursuing. If you want to earn some money, or if you just want to get that, it's gonna look good on your resume anyways.
Yeah, I think, for example, they have projects, any developer will have projects on their resume. But if you're, okay, so most students, college majors, right, that are CS majors, they'll probably have an AI machine learning project on their resume, maybe some school projects, right, maybe one personal project that they're passionate about, right? Think about from a recruiter's perspective, everyone's going to have that nowadays. Everyone's going to have the school projects. Everyone's going to have the AI, MBA, performance predictor. I had that actually on my resume at first, those type of projects. But not many people are going to have projects that you can say, I built this for X amount of clients, bringing them X amount of revenue or saving them X amount of hours of time, right? And those are the things that's really going to separate people, especially in the next year or the next job cycle, the job cycles to come, is creating client-facing projects. And that's really something you only do if you decide to go through a side hustle. It doesn't have to be web automation. It can be any website development, right? It can just be starting your own SaaS, right? It can be anything. And I think that's where a lot of developers should be going towards, especially if they want to go and get a really good, full-time job, as well as just make money using their skills. Because coding is a skill that can make you a lot of it can really set you apart financially. You've come a long way in your development journey. So what would you say is your future plans? What's next for you?
Since I've been able to find this opportunity to be basically the first time the company ever hired someone that's doing software engineering, automation and all that.
Yeah.
I think my I guess 1 to 2 year mark, or next I don't know how long, as long as they really need my I'm able to progress and help them as much as I can. I want to stay there. And because it's I know that the company provides a lot of areas of growth for you. If you think you can do something, they'll just let you try.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
So, and there's really good people there. So, but long term, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ahead, I would want to have something of my own. I don't know, maybe a consultancy agency or any, or just I don't know, if I could make a SaaS, think of something good, a good idea, and make it. That would be amazing. But yeah, long term, I would want to go to the entrepreneurial route.
What's your excuse? You have great coding skills, you have great web automation skills, and you created some agents all from scratch. And you got the proof that agent development has been making multiple people thousands of dollars on the side. You find this video and making it to the end is a sign that you are ready to take the next step. If you want me to personally mentor you and teach you how to code agents that will make you 5 to 6 figures, check the link in the description below. Be my agent buddy. We'll see you soon.